Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for all my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I try to open your eyes and ears up to some of the travails and tribulations that take place throughout our cities, our states, our country, and sometimes around the world. And this story, what and for God's sake is happening to Boeing? We're talking about aerospace and defense. You're talking about companies like Lockheed, Boeing, who have huge defense contracts and building airplanes, aircrafts. And as we all know, with the dock workers strike, 45,000 dock workers and their union, the International Longshoremen's Association. There's a big brewing fight that's going on there, and that strike is going to put a big damper in our supply chain if they don't get that resolved. And now Boeing is having a big fight with another union called the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers. So from a learning tool, we're talking about two big unions against a corporate company. And we're already having issues with inflation. This is a new presidential election. This story has everything to do with the working and middle class, manufacturing and distribution. Many people are worried about automation, replacing human workers. And now, and don't forget, Boeing has had 2 or 3 whistleblowers talking about alleged indiscretions that are taking place in the building of many of these airplanes. Boeing had an incident where a door popped open and fell off in mid-flight. As I said, there have been 2 or 3 whistleblowers that have ended up dead under mysterious circumstances. There is a lot going on with Boeing. And now they're saying that Boeing is about to cut 17,000 jobs. 17,000. So this, we have to, even though you may not work at Boeing, you should definitely pay attention to it. Whether you work at Anheuser-Busch or any other place with manufacturing and distribution, when companies that have large governmental defense contracts are laying off thousands of people, it could definitely happen at your company also. So what are we looking at? We got issues with inflation. We got issues with job loss. We got the opioid crisis. We have issues with the illegal migrant crisis. There is a lot of things that are going on. And of course, we have this upcoming election. So let's talk about this with Boeing. And even if you don't work there, you should pay attention, because this kind of temperament and the things that are taking place in our economy, it could filter over into your job and your company, and you could possibly lose your job also. So let's go. Boeing to cut 17,000 jobs as losses deepen during factory strike. They say Boeing plans to cut about 10% of its workforce of 17,000 people. The manufacturer will also delay the launch of its new 777X wide-body planes until 2026, citing development issues. Also, the factory strike is almost a month old, and tensions between the company and the Machinist union are on the rise. So this is a telltale sign and a story about companies and unions. So let's go. Boeing will cut 10% of its workforce, or about 17,000 people, as the company's losses mount and a machinist strike that has idled its aircraft factories enters its 5th week. It will also push back the long-delayed launch of its new wide-body airplane. The manufacturer will not deliver its still uncertified 777X wide-body plane, which has customers that include Lufthansa and Emirates, until 2026, putting it some 6 years behind schedule. 6 years. And it says the company in August paused flight tests of the aircraft when it discovered structural damage in one of them. Remember, Boeing has had a recent history of planes falling apart mid-flight and all this kinds of stuff. It will stop making commercial 767 freighters in 2027 after it fulfills remaining orders. CEO Kelly Ortberg said in a staff memo Friday afternoon. He said, "Our business is in a difficult position, and it is hard to overstate the challenges we face together. Beyond navigating our current environment, restoring our company requires tough decisions, and we will have to make structural changes to ensure we can stay competitive and deliver for our customers over the long term." So, Boeing expects to report a loss of $9.97 a share in the third quarter. The company said in a surprise release Friday, it expects to report a pre-tax charge of $3 billion in the commercial airplane unit and $2 billion for its defense business. In preliminary financial results, Boeing said it expects to have an operating cash flow of $1.3 billion for the third quarter. The union late Friday called Boeing's announcement to cease the 767 freighter production very troubling and said it would review the implications. Remember, this is the company versus the union. This all lies under our working middle class. The job and cost cuts are the most dramatic moves to date from Ortberg, who is just over 2 months into his tenure in the top job, tasked with returning Boeing to stability after safety and manufacturing crises, including a near catastrophic mid-air door plug blowout earlier this year. I just said that earlier about the door busting open. Mid-flight with over 200 people on the plane. The machinist strike is yet another challenge for Ortberg. Credit rating agencies have warned the company is at risk of losing its investment grade rating. And Boeing has been burning through cash in what company leaders hope would be a turnaround year. S&P Global Ratings said earlier this week that Boeing is losing more than $1 billion a month from the strike of more than 30,000 machinists, which began September 13th, after machinists overwhelmingly voted down a tentative agreement the company reached with the union. Tensions have been rising between the manufacturer and the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers. That's the union. Look it up. And remember, same way with the 45,000 dock workers, their union is called the International Longshoremen's Association. And so they was also saying that, they were saying, so tensions have been rising between the manufacturer and the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers. And Boeing withdrew a newer contract offer. They withdrew a newer contract offer earlier this week. On Thursday, Boeing said it filed an unfair labor practice charge with the National Labor Relations Board that accused the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers of negotiating in bad faith and misrepresenting the plane maker's proposal. The union had blasted Boeing for a sweetened offer that it argued was not negotiated with the union and said workers would not vote on it. After talks broke down earlier this week, Boeing said further negotiations didn't make sense at that point. John Holden, president of the striking workers union, IAM District 751, on Friday urged a return to the bargaining table. CEO Ortberg has an opportunity to do things differently instead of the same old tired labor relations threats used to intimidate and crush anyone that stands up to them, he said in a statement. Ultimately, it will be our membership that determines whether any negotiated contract offer is accepted. They want a resolution that is negotiated and addresses their needs, talking about the workers. The job cuts, which Ortberg said would occur over the coming months, would hit just after Boeing and its hundreds of suppliers have been scrambling to staff up in the wake of the pandemic, when demand was cratered. So here we go again. We have the workers, the meat and potatoes of this company and their union that is fighting with the corporate structure, and it's going to have a deleterious effect on everyone. Because guess what we're talking about? Airplanes that everyday citizens fly every day. So just as you may want to ignore this commentary on Boeing, it still can affect you, because you may be flying in one of their planes. There's also, as I said earlier, there's been at least 2 or 3 whistleblowers who have ended up dead prior to their whistleblower trial coming to court. That has a huge cloud over Boeing, where these whistleblowers allege that that Boeing was taking shortcuts to continue to make these planes as fast as possible, using old materials and smashing things into place that necessarily did not fit. And we're talking about airplanes. We're not talking about bicycles, Tonka trucks. We're talking about airplanes that fly thousands and thousands of feet in the air with American and citizens and whoever on those planes. Lives could be at risk. And now you have this scenario with this union, very similar to the dock workers situation, where you got 45,000 dock workers that are on strike right now. And of course, their union is, what is it called again? The International Longshoremen's Association. Look that up. And this particular union that's fighting with Boeing is the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers. We're in a very, very tough time as I speak. We have inflation, that's a real issue. The migrant crisis is a real issue. Joblessness is a real issue. Homelessness, mental illness, the opioid crisis, gun violence, and the day of working for one company for 30 or 40 years and getting a pension for the rest of your life seems to be going by the wind. So we have to pay very close attention to what many of our big, large corporate companies are doing, whether it's in banking, finance, real estate, defense. I want my viewers to really pay attention to what's going on, make a sound decision on how you are voting, citywide, statewide, and of course, nationally. This scenario with Boeing, we're talking about 17,000 jobs that are going to be lost here in the next few months, along with 45,000 dock workers that are on strike. The supply chain is going to be log jammed, and this issue with Boeing and some of these defective planes is a real issue that can affect all of us. So let's not take a blind eye, not only politically, but in the business world, and what is going on corporately. All of these things have an effect on all of us. Tell me what you think about Boeing is planning to cut 17,000 jobs, and they're having a huge fight with the union, the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, and hopefully they can get this thing resolved. And what is going to happen to the 17,000 people that are going to lose their jobs? Where do they go to next? The day of working for one company and having job security, being a part of the American dream, has turned into the American nightmare. Tell me what you think. This has been the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth in a positive, righteous, and God-fearing way.